Once upon a time, there was a mother, and she had two daughters, one her own, and the other a stepdaughter. She liked her own daughter very much, but she couldn't even look at her stepdaughter, just because Marushka was more beautiful than her Helena. But Marushka did know about her beauty. She didn't know why the mother's forehead would sing whenever she looked at her. She thought the stepmother was angry with her because she hadn't done something properly, and so while Helena only tramped and dressed up, relaxed in the room, or walked in the yard or on the street, Marushka didn't. Marushka did everything in the house: cleaned, cooked, washed, saved, spun, woven, cut grass, milked cows. She did all the work. But the stepmother shouted at her and was angrier every day. It didn't matter what she suffered, like the bitter, it was worse with her from day to day. Again, just for the only thing that Marushka became more beautiful day by day, and Helena an ugly one. The mother thought, why should I keep a pretty stepdaughter in the house? When the boys come around, they will fall in love with Marushka, and they will not want to love Helena. She also consulted it with Helena, and they came up with things that would not even occur to a brave person. One day, and it was right after the New Year, in the crackling winter, Helena wanted to smell violence, and she said, "Go, Marusha, to the forest, fetch me a branch of violets. I want to have it on my belt, because I long to smell like violence." "Oh my God, my dear sister, how could it pop into your mind? Has anyone ever heard that violence would be grow under the snow?" said poor Marushka. "You bastard, you have no right to say anything when I order you," Helena shouted at her. "Go, and if you don't bring violence from the woods, I will kill you," she threatened. Stepmother pushed Marusha out of the door, slammed the door behind her, and locked it. The girl was crying and walking to the wood. There were piles of snow here and no human footprints or pets. She wandered for a long time. Hunger struck her, the cold shook her, she was crying. Even worse, she begged the Lord God to take her out of the world. Suddenly she saw a light in distance. She followed the glow and came to the top of the mountain. There a great fire burns, 12 stones around the fire, and 12 men sit on those stones. They have white beards. 3 are younger than the first 3, 3 are even younger, and 3 are the youngest. They sat in silence, staring into the fire. These 12 men are the 12 months of the year. Velký Sečeň now sat up on the highest stone. His hair and mustache were as white as snow, and he held a mace in his hand. Marushka was frightened, and she stood still. After a while, she dared to come closer and begged, "Good people, let me warm up. The cold will kill me." Velký Sečeň nodded and asked her, "What have you come for, girl? What are you looking for?" "I'm going for violence," Marushka replied. It's not time for violence because it's snowing, said Velký Sečen. Hey, I know, but my sister Helena and my stepmother ordered me to bring violence from the wood. If I don't bring them, they'll kill me. Please, God, please, good old man, tell me where would I get them? Velký Sečen got up, walked to the youngest man, put the mace in his hand, and said, Brother Brezeň, sit on my place. Mount Brezeň sat up on the high stone and spun the mace over the fire. The fire grew into a height, the snow began to melt, the trees began to sprout, the grass greened beneath the beeches, the buds of flowers squeaked in the grass. It was spring. Violets bloomed among the bushes under the petals. Collect them, Marushka, be fast, the young Brezen ordered. Pleased, Marushka tore many violets and made the big bunch. Then she thanked the 12 months nicely and hurried home. Both Helena and stepmother wondered when they saw her hurry home with the violets. They opened the door and smelled violets, smelled all over the house. Where did you tear them? Helena asked curiously. Well, high up the there. They grow under the bushes. I believe a lot of them there. Marushka replied quietly. Helena snatched the bunch from the hand, fastened herself by the waist, smelled herself, let her mother smell it, but did not say to her sister, smell it too. The next day, Helena sat at oven and watched some strawberries. And she called out, Go, Marusha, and bring strawberries from the wood. Oh, my dear sister, how could this pop into your hand? Has anyone ever heard the strawberries were growing under the snow?
Hey, you bastard! You can't say anything against my will. Go immediately, and if you don't bring me strawberries, I will kill you. Helena threatened. The stepmother pushed Marusha out, slammed the door behind her and closed the lock. The girl went crying to the woods. There was again a lot of snow and no paths. She wandered for a long time, starving and cold, when she again saw the light glowing in the distance like the day before. She followed the light and came back to the fire. 12 men, 12 months, sat still around the fire. Great Sečen, white and bearded, the tallest, with the mace in his hand. Good people, let me warm up, please. I'm freezing. Marusha begged them. Velký Sečen nodded and asked her, And why have you come again, my girl, and what are you looking for here? I'm going for strawberries, the girl replied. It's cold and strawberries don't grow in the snow, says Velký Sečen. Hey, I know, Marusha says sadly, but Sister Helena and my stepmother ordered me to pick strawberries. If I don't bring them, they will kill me. Please, good man, tell me where would I get them? Here, Velký Sečen stood up, went to the man who was sitting opposite him, gave him the mace and said, Brother Lipeň, sit in my place now. The monk Sipeň sat up on the highest stone and spun the mace over the fire. The fire grew 3 times higher, the snow disappeared in a second. The trees burst into leaves, the birds sang, the flowers were everywhere. It was summer. Under the bushes, it looked as if the white star had been sown, and the white stars turned into strawberries and start to ripe. Collect them quickly, Marusha, quickly, Lipin urged. Please, Marusha, collected an almost full apron of strawberries. She thanked the month nicely and hurried home. Helena and stepmother wondered when they saw with a full apron of strawberries. They opened the door for her and the house was full of the smell of strawberries. Where did you get them? Helena asked furiously, and Marusha answered quietly, well, they grow up there. I believe enough of them. Helena took the strawberries, ate them together with her mom, but she didn't give one to Marusha. On the third day, Helena wanted to eat apples. Go, Marusha, go to the woods, bring me red apples, she ordered. Good God, my dear sister, what came to your mind? Has anyone ever heard that the apples were ripe in the winter? Eh, you bastard. Do what I tell you. Go to the woods, and if you don't bring me red apples, I will kill you. Helena, the stepmother pushed Marusha out, slammed the door behind her, and closed the lock. The girl went crying to the forest. There was still a large amount of snow and no pets. She wandered for a long time, was hungry and cold. Finally, she saw the light in the distance like the previous days. She followed the light again and came to the fire. 12 men, 12 months sat around the fire. The great Sechem, white and breaded, sat supreme with the mace in his hand. Good people, let me warm up, please. I'm frozen to the bones. Marusha begged them. Velký Sechem nodded and asked, and what did you come again, my girl? I came for red apples, the girl replied. It's winter. Red apples don't ripen in winter, says Velký Sechem. I know, Marushka says sadly, but Helena and my stepmother threatened to kill me if I didn't bring the red apples from the woods. I beg you, Godman, please help me one more time. Here, Velký Sechem stood up, went to one of the other mans, put the mace in his hand, and said, Brother Ruyen, take my place. The man Ruyen sat up on the highest stone and turned with the mace over the fire. The fire stood up, the snow disappeared, but the leaves did not develop on the trees. The yellow ones were slowly fading away. It was autumn. Marushka no longer saw the spring flowers. She only looked at the trees, and there really is an apple tree and red apples high at the end of the branches. Pick them, Marushka, pick them fast, Ruyan pointed out. Marusha took the apple tree. One apple fell off. She shocked the second time. The second one fell off. Take the Marushka, take the fast and go home, cried Ruyen. She picked up the 2 apples, thanked the mounts, and hurried home. Both Helena and stepmothers wondered when Marusha came home. They opened the door for her and she handed them 2 apples. And where did you tear them? Helena asked. They grow high on the mountains, and there are still quite a few of them, Marusha said. Well, There was nothing more to say, just that there were still enough of them.
You bastard, why didn't you bring more? Did you eat them on the way? Helena shouted at her. No, my dear sister, I didn't eat a bit. When I first shot at three, one fell. The second time I shot, the second fell, and they gave me no more shaking. They ordered me to go home, said Marushka. Helena got angry and wanted to beat Marushka. And the stepmother joined Helena, and they both hit Marushka. Marushka did not want to be killed. She ran to the kitchen and hid somewhere under the stove. Helena and stepmother stopped looking for Marushka and started to eat the apples. They had never eaten such sweet apples. Mom, give me my fur coat. I'm going to the woods alone. Our lazy Marushka wouldn't eat them along the way again. I will find the place where the apples grow, even throughout it would be in hell, and I will collect them all. When there are so many of them, even throughout, the devil himself would grab them. Helena thought and started to get ready. She put on the fur coat, scarf around her neck, and had on set off to the woods. The mother folded her arms on the doorstep, watching her disappear in the distance, unable to understand what her daughter had decided to do. Helena went to the woods. There was a lot of snow, but she continued walking because the taste of the apples on the tongue and her appetite for more apples keep her going on as if somebody was chasing her. After a while, she saw a distant light. She went to it. She came a fire where 12 months were sitting. She did not bow to them. She did not ask them. She just spread her hands against the fire and warmed up as if it was just for her. Why did you come? What are you looking for her? For here? The great Sechen glanced at her. Why are you asking me that, you old fool? You don't need to know what I'm going to for whenever I go. Helena told him, and he did for a mountain, as if ready-made apples were already waiting for her. The great Sechen frowned and whirled his mace over his head. At that moment, the sky darkened. The fire was extinguished. The snow was thick. The wind blew cold. Helena didn't see a step in front of her. The further she went, the more she got stuck in the piles of snow. She signed Marushka, and the Lord God. She got colder and colder. She was slowly becoming numb, and finally she fell down and never moved again. Helena's mother was awaiting her, but Helena didn't come for a long time. She wants to stay at the apples forever, or why hasn't she come back yet? I haven't to go after her and have a look at it, says the mother to herself, talking on her fur coat, curling herself up in the scarf and following the girl's steps. The snow is always thicker, the wind is always colder, and the snow drifts. She walks through the snow and calls the girl's name, but no one can hear that and no one answers. She doesn't know where she is. She freezes, becomes numb, and at the last she falls into the snow and never stands up again. At home, Marushka cooked lunch. feed the cow and milk it, but neither Helena nor stepmother came. Where they are for so long, Marushka worries and starts making the yarn in the evening. She keeps working into the night, still waiting for those two. No one comes. Oh my god, what happened to them? The good girl keeps worrying and looking out of the window. But there's nobody. Just the sky clear after a terrible blizzard and a lot of new snow everywhere. In the morning, she prepares breakfast for them, so the lunch, but she will not see Helena or her stepmother anymore. They both froze up. The house, cow, garden, fields, and meadows belong now to Marushka. When spring began, Marushka got married to good, handy young boy and both lived happily.